All right, now I noticed that our handouts are a little bit out of order. So the next handout is actually going to be at the end. So where it said, oh gosh, what did it say? It said hormone control, and it was actually the male reproductive system. We're going to talk about that at the end of the packet instead of in the order that it's at. So I apologize that it's in the wrong order. So the next handout is handout 14A. And we have seen this before, and we talked about this in A&P 1 last semester, and I've actually shown it to you before, but I just kind of gave it to you completed, but you need to know what the function of these hormones are. In this chapter, it's going to be really important to know three things. You need to know the hormone, you need to know what organ or gland makes the hormone. And then number 3, you need to know what the hormone does, what organ it affects, and what feedback it does. And so this handout is going over a ton of different hormones that are generated by the anterior pituitary. All right, and I'll zoom in on this, but this is one of the most important handouts that we talk about. And so you really need to understand that we have these releasing hormones made in the hypothalamus. So these releasing hormones, like corticotropin releasing hormone and prolactin releasing hormone, these hormones are made in the hypothalamus, and all they do is they tell the anterior pituitary to release a secondary hormone. So you need to know what the releasing hormones are and be able to describe what their function is, right? Now, they all affect the anterior pituitary. So, for example, the red pathway, corticotropin releasing hormone, it's made in the hypothalamus. It tells our anterior pituitary to release adrenocorticotropic hormone. Now, adrenocorticotropic hormone does several things, right? So what it does is it tells the adrenal cortex to produce the hormone cortisol and corticosterone, and then it tells the adrenal cortex to release aldosterone. Now, cortisol and corticosterone, we've kind of talked about in the past. It is going to knock down inflammation, so it helps guard against inflammation. And then it's involved in fat processing, gluconeogenesis, and lipolysis. Remember, early on in this class, we talked about gluconeogenesis. That is one of the ways that we turn fructose into glucose. And then lipolysis is breaking fat. So cortisol and corticosterone are doing those jobs. And then remember, aldosterone is going to be involved in what's called the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone reflex, where we are going to raise our blood pressure and regulate some ions like potassium and sodium. So you have to know these pathways, all right? And we go into a little more detail on them in further handouts, but let's just go over the next one. So the next one is kind of this purple pathway, thyrotropin releasing hormone, made in the hypothalamus. Thyrotropin releasing hormone tells the anterior pituitary to release thyroid stimulating hormone. Thyroid stimulating hormone travels through your bloodstream to your thyroid and tells your thyroid to release these two hormones, the thyroid hormones, triiodithyronine and thyroxinine. We often can just refer to them as T3 and T4. By the way, T1 and T2 are the inactive forms of these hormones, but we've got T3 and T4. Now, the thyroid hormones are involved in all of our metabolism. So our metabolism, all those chemical reactions in our body, they are controlled in part by the thyroid hormones. Now, thyroid stimulating hormone also tells our thymus to make that hormone thymosin. Thymosin stimulates the production of T and B cells, remember, but it doesn't leave the thymus. But it is initiated by thyroid stimulating hormone. All right, now the green pathway we've talked about a lot last semester. So we've got growth hormone releasing hormone. It's made in the hypothalamus, tells the anterior pituitary to release human growth hormone. Human growth hormone, remember, is a mediator hormone. It tells the liver to produce this second hormone called insulin-like growth factor 1, and IGF-1 is responsible for all the growth in your body. So we talked about that first semester too. See, a lot of our hormones, luckily, I mean, it's kind of cool. A lot of our hormones are going to be just review from stuff that we've already talked about. All right. So the next hormone, is prolactin. And I just have the prolactin releasing hormone over here because it didn't fit in my box. But prolactin releasing hormone made by the hypothalamus tells your anterior pituitary to produce prolactin. Prolactin then travels through our bloodstream to our breast tissue, tells our lactiferous glands in the breast to produce milk. And so this is just another process. Then we have gonadotropin releasing hormone, and we're going to talk a lot about this in the reproductive system. But gonadotropin releasing hormone tells the hypothalamus to produce two hormones, luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Now, each is going to affect our sexes different. So follicle stimulating hormone is going to tell the male testicles to produce sperm. It tells the female ovary to produce the ovarian follicle. Sorry, this got cut off. The ovarian follicle, that should be an E. And to produce the female hormone estrogen. So follicle stimulating hormone is named after what it does in the female. It stimulates our ovarian follicle to make an egg. Now, luteinizing hormone in the male tells the male testicles to build testosterone. So we make the male sex hormone testosterone with luteinizing hormone. It tells our ovaries to ovulate our egg. So we're going to have ovulation. And then it tells our ovaries to produce progesterone. And I hate how this got cut off. So it should be an E, an N, and an E at the end. Can't really read that. I apologize. But we have progesterone and estrogen. Now, progesterone is the pregnancy hormone. We produce it all the time. So even a woman that's not pregnant produces progesterone monthly. But it really just it really prepares the body for pregnancy. That's kind of its job. All right. Now, the last hormone, it does have a releasing hormone. I just left it out because remember, melanocyte stimulating hormone made by the anterior pituitary is a hormone that has no known function. So there's no known function as a hormone for melanocyte stimulating hormone. If you remember last semester, I told you that we know that it activates melanocytes in frogs, but we don't know what it does in humans. It doesn't seem to have a real function. So you just got to know these general functions of these hormones for this handout. All right. I know that was kind of a lot. This was like a 10-minute video. Oh my gosh. But go back and review these hormones and make sure you know what each of them does. All right. Onward and upward.